Exciting.
Well, hey, we've made it. We're live.
We're live, just so you know.
Yeah, we are live. Well, hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us for yet another virtual tasting. We are officially on week 84, and this week is my pick, so I'm very excited. We have got, of course, Dr. Richard Becker, the owner of Becker Vineyards, our winemaker, Jonathan Leahy. We've got Bobby Totten, the wine club director, and myself, Kaylyn. We will be tasting through the 2018 Reserve Chardonnay from Drew Talents Vineyards, the 2014 Raven, and then finishing with the 2015 Malmsey. So I think I'm going to pass this on over to Dr. Becker to say a few words.
Gosh, the words are week number 84. Is that right?
That is it.
Of this pandemic, and I just every day, every week to remember how much we owe to all the people who've been fighting this battle for a long time at great cost, great expense. Just an enormous burden for them, and always wanted to say thank you to them and people at every level, from teachers to nurses to physicians, you name it. And we're making progress, and I think we're going to have enough, a greater percentage of our population vaccinated, and we're going to probably escape this soon. I'm hoping. That's my hope. So anyway, but our salute to them, and then just a few minutes of enjoying these beautiful wines that we're going to talk about tonight. John, thank you.
Oh, absolutely. You know, I want to add one. Yes, I'm very grateful for everybody who's taking care of us, but not to allow a moment to go by without being a bit of a Weisenheimer. I do also want to salute the unsung heroes, all the liquor store owners out there. Thank you for keeping us and our spirits up. And Kaylyn, since it's your pick this week, and I see that your mom is on, and did I hear rumors of a watch party going on? Is that correct? Yeah. So, you know, she's going to want to hear you. You have to take yourself off.
I know. Whenever I pick up the Facebook portion of it, I don't want to have interference between.
Sure.
Right. So I accidentally muted myself, but hi, Mom, and everyone at Mom's house and all of my Amarillo friends.
Yeah, exactly. And it looks like we've put Bobby outside against the wall. He's been very bad.
Grounded.
Now,
He says bathing's not for everyone, you know. So.
actually, the thing is, I'm waiting for all the wine club members to come to the wine club area so that we can, get them going for some tastings.
There you go. Well, I want to say cheers to everyone. And Kaylyn, we've got to ask, because I was told earlier this week, and you came up and said, it's my week, I picked these wines. I'm like, so what inspired these wines? Give us a little, why are they your favorites? And then we're going to jump in, if everybody's acceptable, we're going to jump into the Chardonnay.
Fantastic. So, my white wine journey started as me not liking white wines, and I've come full circle around to enjoying almost every white wine imaginable. I'm still working on developing a palate for Torontes. However, this 18 Chardonnay, the very first time I tried it, I was blown away. I thought it just smelled, it had the most incredible aromatic profile. The flavor profile was just beautiful. And I've really enjoyed being able to taste it since it was freshly bottled and how it's evolved. And we also tasted it this weekend at the United Way event. And very much enjoyed it and was happy with my choice then. And then for the 2014 Raven, we're finally getting into the cooler seasons, and this wine it always reminds me of enjoying good conversation with friends and family, and just being in cozy spaces, enjoying good food. And so obviously it had to be on my pick list. And then the 2015 Malmsey, I really enjoy dessert wines, fortified wines, and I feel that it's hit or miss for a lot of people on the fortified sweet wines. However, I have been a big fan of Malmsey since the original 2015 Clementine Madeira style.
Right.
And I really wanted to go over how beautiful and unique this wine is, and how it can be so versatile for holiday seasons. We're rapidly approaching Thanksgiving and Christmas. And I think that this is just something that would be fantastic to share with beautiful desserts with the people that you love.
Oh, well, that's all beautiful. And I'm going to bring you back to your sideline about trying to get into Toronto's. And might I add, the only way to do that is to journey down to Argentina, to the Mendoza, and enjoy as many as you possibly can.
I'll put that on the list. That's on the list then. Travel to Argentina. Got it. Got the passport all down. Just got to get those plane tickets and I'm out.
All righty. So, Kaylyn, lead us off with a Chardonnay. What are your opinions?
So we did just have someone ask which wine are we tasting. We're starting off with the 2018 Chardonnay Reserve. So on the nose, and I am drinking out of the oak Chardonnay glass, and it does kind of, I think, influence the oak. I pick up a lot of butterscotch, lots of warm vanilla, almost like Honeycrisp apples, golden apples, something along those lines. Beautiful baking spices as well. Maybe just a hint of citrus on the palate, nothing overbearing. Maybe some white florals as well, but it is just gorgeous. What are y'all smelling? What are y'all tasting?
Well, I'm tasting an absolutely gorgeous Chardonnay, and
right.
I tell you what, after 10 years of being in Texas and making wine in Texas, I'm absolutely convinced that Chardonnay in this state has an unreal, an absolutely out of this world version of the Chardonnays that I grew up tasting. So I absolutely love the fruit in Texas. This is a great example of good fruit. It's from our beautiful grower, Drew Talent. So it's just wonderful as far as I'm concerned. Doc, what do you think? What are your opinions?
Well, it's very Burgundian. It has the minerality. It has some nice fruit notes, but complex aromatic. It's not just I love Chardonnay and I love Chardonnay fruit, and I love that style. This is a different style, and this reflects some special oak from France in the barrels that make this wine. That makes all the difference, I think. So it got some wonderful care in Drew's vineyard, and some wonderful barrel exposure, and some very beautiful fermentation and winemaking. I think it's great. And I love white Burgundies, and I love the wines from the Macon region, the Mâconnais.
Yes.
And probably the first evidence of this grape is from a little village called Cardonicum, which became Chardonnay. And Cardonicum in Latin means wild thistle and artichoke. And so I'm trying to see if I'm getting some of that out of this. And it's just fun. It also has some DNA ties to Pinot Noir, which is interesting. And Gouaille Blanc is the other parent of this grape. Based on
we don't like to talk about mixed parentage on our wines.
Anyway, wonderful acid, beautifully crisp. Just nice job, boy.
I tell you what, I'm very, very happy with this. And it was funny because we have a couple of good examples of Chardonnay, and we actually every year we break those Chardonnays up into multiple lots, to some barrel aged, some barrel fermented and barrel aged, some just stainless steel. And we were hands down when we came to tasting the 2018s. It was the barrel fermented and aged lot from Drew Talent that made the reserve cut. So it is an example of what I consider a very rare unicorn in the wine world, which was a single vineyard, single lot, single barrel regime, 100% complete wine. And it really has just come forward. It's a wonderful example of great Chardonnay. Absolutely. Bobby, you're on the firing line.
Doc, you're going to have to excuse me on this one a little bit. Just kind of give me a little, a little bit of a like poetic licensing almost on the nose. So John and I were talking about cereals earlier with my son,
Yes.
And when Kaylyn brought up the apple notes, I almost get like a hint of like Apple Jacks on the nose.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I don't know, it just kind of brought me back to a little bit of childhood. But almost like a Meyer lemon, kind of a lemon meringue characteristic on the nose. Not so much like a tart lemon, but like a sweet lemon kind of. And then the palate is just it's beautiful and crisp. So like you were saying, like a Chablis, the Burgundian style, like the bright, crisp notes, it just sits so well. So my glass is different than everybody else's glass here. So I know Dr. Becker was talking about how the Pinot Noir parentage and the history behind it. And I noticed that John had the Pinot Noir glass. And so just seeing that was the Burgundian glass.
Yep.
It just it's so cool to kind of hear that history and know that the ties in between both. But I'm really enjoying this wine.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I love this, the old world style Pinot glass as a general purpose taster, because it really, if you notice how it curves up, it really concentrates the nose. It lets you, especially if you know which side your dominant nostril is, you can really get a good nose on there. But what I'm getting off of this is tarragon. The herbaceousness to me is coming through as that mild, very, very mild pine or licorice edge, which to me just screams tarragon. And now I'm thinking Bernays, and now I'm thinking beef, but that's just a whole nother ball of wax. Apparently I'm hungry, but the herbal note in this it's taken me a while. And Doc, I don't think you're wrong when you say, should we find thistle or artichoke in there? There is a little bit of a thistle edge there, but I really, really get the herbal edge I'm getting is tarragon.
The other thing that I'm thinking about is Texas honey on the nose. And
yes.
If you ask, what is the principal flower that provides the nectar that makes most of the honey in Texas? It's the mesquite tree.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the principal source of nectar for honey production in Texas. Whenever the honey is darker, which it usually is, it's mesquite nectar.
Yep.
And maybe there's some of that here.
Yeah, I have mesquite honey mead going on in the experiment room, which most people call the kitchen.
It's like, where is this room? So I just want to share one of the comments. Lane said that our Chardonnays were the first that she really enjoyed. She walked into one of the tasting rooms and said that, or requested a glass of sunshine, and our Chardonnay was poured. And I think that's really beautiful. And it reminds me of that Galileo quote that, what is it? Wine is sunlight held together by water. And I think that this is a beautiful expression of that.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking, is it Lane that you're referencing? Because she's also talking about how we all have different common smells that influence us, and how we the notes that we will pick up by common memory of what we grew up knowing.
Yes,
like
that's right. Yeah.
Apparently I grew up in a patch of thyme and tarragon.
Just an herb garden.
Oh, this is just wonderful. You guys are going to have to come up with an absolutely stellar dish to complement these wines that Kaylyn produced or chose, because Kaylyn, now that the cooler weathers are coming on, as you like to say, I get very jealous of the leftovers that you bring from home to work. So
I'm very, very excited about soup season once that is in full swing. I've already begun the soup season madness, but I'm working on it. It's my own form of March Madness, but just different soups, different brackets throughout the season until I find perfection. But I have high hopes that I'll be able to come up with some creative dishes to share for this lineup.
Oh, right on. Okay.
So I want to say I was once at a wine tasting where somebody I think made was remiss in their sentence. They said you cannot produce a good Chardonnay from Texas. And I think that this is the past Chardonnays that we have produced, and this one are examples of how you can produce really good Chardonnay in Texas if you find out the proper way to do it and the best growers for Chardonnay. And I think about that regularly whenever I open a bottle of Chardonnay and get to share it with people and see their reactions to it, because I feel very strongly that we produce awesome wines. But getting to see other people try our Chardonnays and go, oh, I thought I did not like Chardonnay. Oh, I thought Chardonnay did not grow in Texas or was not able to be produced well in Texas. And it's always fun to get to show people like, hey, it's possible. It can be done, and it's beautiful and different. And anyway, that makes me happy.
Oh, I agree. And you know what else you can tell them is, yes, it's possible to produce really good wine in Texas if you have two things: really good wine growers and a really good winery to work at. So, and we have both. So,
Lucky.
Yes. Notice I did not say the arrogant, really good winemaker, but that's just
Why?
look at everybody's eyes roll. Any Bobby or Doc, certainly Kaylyn, anything else to add about the Chardonnay before we move on?
I love smelling that vanilla, just kind of
Mhm.
like a vanilla bean. Just
Yeah.
just the aroma, just amazing.
So
I was going to say, of all the vanilla we usually think of coming from the oak, and I think that's the most delicate vanilla comes from the Allier oak, and that's what we're here in the. I don't think almost all of the white Burgundy, all the Chardonnay and Burgundy is made in Allier oak, and there's a reason for it. They just blend together beautifully.
you know, that brings up a good point. I guess we're gonna have to double our Allier barrel program then.
I thought we did twice.
Twice. Exactly. No, so Doc, what's your opinion? How long do you think this will lay down for under proper conditions? Wild guess.
Long time. It's a long time. That's what I think. I think it's just beginning.
Yes, this is a very, very young wine, and
Yeah.
I'm kind of looking forward to trying this again in a few years.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'll do very, very well. I guess we're going to have to start thinking about what wines to bring with us on the cruise in France in June for our wine cruise. We are going to be going through a little bit of Burgundy. Maybe we should sneak a Chardonnay in.
That'd be fun.
Well, I mean, after all, we owe it to the French to show them how to make good wine, right?
It's true.
All to Texas.
And suddenly John doesn't know why he can't get into the country of France.
Forever banished.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah, right. All righty. If any other comments before we move on to the Raven? Because
No, let's do the Raven, boy.
yeah. All right, Kaylyn, you're on the hot seat again. Why the Raven and why the 2014?
Have you smelled it yet? That's exactly why I smell it. So when this particular vintage was first released in the tasting room, I remember thinking, oh, this is really good. And then seeing the awards come in afterwards, I was like, oh, it is really good. Good on me. I'm learning. I'm growing and evolving with my palate. And then of course, we had to do our super fun rebrand. But through these, through working at the winery, I've been able to try it through different stages of its life. And it's been a while since we brought it out on a virtual tasting, but being able to taste it periodically every few months with these virtual tastings, I just think it's turning into the perfect wine that I want when I get home, which is really unfortunate because we don't have copious amounts of it. So that's not the greatest. But the nose is just incredible on this. Picking up lots of leathery smell, something a bit forest floor-esque, herbaceous characteristics, of course, bright cherry, beautiful spice as well. And it just, it's mystery and everything fantastic that I want to enjoy. I did this, I chose this because I wanted to bring this bottle home to enjoy, essentially.
Now, are you going to bring some of this to your mom for the holidays?
So I shipped some to my mom this go round. I have not yet determined what the Christmas wines are going to be. I'm not going to make it home for Thanksgiving. Very sorry, Mom. But for Christmas, I usually try to bring enough to offset what I will consume, and then some.
Just remember, she brought you into this world and raised you. You owe her good wine.
Really good wine. I try my best. I sent her all of my favorites to get her through Thanksgiving.
Right on. Right on. Oh yeah, you're right, Kaylin. This nose is just, it keeps giving. Yeah.
Right. Well, and then on the back end of the palette, I'm picking up maybe some rose petals, some violet. Once again, still the cherry, maybe some brown sugar, and a little vanilla. But it's you have the bright fruit, and then you have all of the darker, richer notes that I think just it's so well balanced in terms of just flavor profile, not just acid or tannin or structure or anything like that. I love it, and it was very self-serving to choose it to put it in my lineup.
Your mom just put there that she's pairing this one with Stilton and cranberries, white Stilton and cranberries.
God.
Do you see why I love cheese so much?
Yeah, Bobby.
Where it came from? She knows what she's doing. Good choice, Mom. Good choice. I'm jealous.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh man.
Doc, so what are you getting on the Raven, sir?
Well, I like the violet note, and did some nice sort of forest floor, saddle leather, some of those notes, and some dark stone fruit. It's very nice, very complex.
Yeah. So somebody just asked, Debbie just asked if we could still purchase this Raven, and I don't think so. I think it's just part of the library release packups at this point. There's not very much left, unfortunately, of this wine. We may have a special release around the holidays, but I don't think it's for general sale anymore.
Why it's really unfortunate that I'm enjoying it so much right now.
That's the whole heartbreak about really good wines is by the time you find a really good wine, then you're like, I have 2 bottles. Okay.
So I've had a few people on tour where they're like, well, just make more. And I had someone a few weeks back and they said, well, don't you still have the recipe for it or like the formula? And while we do, it's never the same.
Eddie Crocker called and I had to give the box mix back.
Right. No. And I think that's one of the most beautiful parts about wine is that you can do the exact same thing year to year and you're still going to end up with an entirely different, beautiful product. Well, I mean, I guess you could really strip everything away and make a very similar product. But if you were to make it thoughtfully, you would end up with something that's unique every single year. And I think that's one of the pretty things.
Well, there's only really one thing preventing us from making this again, and that's a time machine. So, yeah.
Rough.
Yeah. Where's Einstein when you need it? So, Bobby, you have yet to chime in, but you look like you're down in San Antonio on the Riverwalk. I can't believe you're at the winery.
Hey, it's just it's a beautiful night out here at Becker Vineyards.
It is, yeah.
Just the sun setting and just the background, but then hearing all of you guys just what y'all have to put out and talk about is just amazing. Just to hearing like what y'all have to say about this wine and thinking about when we got the double gold on this and the history behind the Raven and just the future of this wine and then how it is like an art form. Like it's just like, I mean, wine is art in a glass. I mean, and you never really can reproduce that same piece of art over and over again. It's just not mass produced. So
right,
this is amazing, and to be able to share it with everybody out there with our Facebook family is just amazing. But on the note of the nose and the flavor profile and all that fun stuff, just the beautiful like dark plum characteristic, the brambleberries, the forest floor, like Kaylyn said, and almost like that caramelization, almost like a caramelized brown sugar kind of characteristic in there, and just tasting a little bit of the age on it, but it's still like the fruit that's still so young and prevalent there as well. So it's a great wine.
So if wine is an art in a glass, is it a Caravaggio or is it a Michael Mapplethorpe?
Caravaggio.
Caravaggio.
And on the back, it's fun to remember that Raven, a blend of Malbec and Petit Verdot and Cabernet Sauvignon from the Talent Vineyard, marks the talons deep in the granitic soil of Mason County. It blows like Texas summer night, augury of the dark and unseen, turning in time both ancient and near. It marks the edge of one of many circles. And that's a reference. Well, this is Wallace Stevens' line, but it describes our relationship with the people who grow the grapes for us and how complicated it is to make a bottle of wine like this.
Mm-hmm.
It really is the edge of one of many circles. That's a fun thing for me.
See, you write this beautiful piece of poetry for the back of the bottle, and I get in trouble when I write the back of the Jolie bottle.
Yeah, well,
It's not
Actually,
trouble. We
it's
just
not
like to poke fun at you.
You know, my first year here, Kaylyn, and I wrote a couple of blurbs for the back of wine bottles, and I get a call from Dr. Becker, and the first thing, you know, I was an English major. I'm like, not the fact that he's a well-accomplished physician. I was an English major, which made me immediately realize, okay, guess I can't spell.
it went well, I thought.
Well, this is
So let's talk about Petit Verdot, John. That's been
Yes.
a favorite grape of ours.
Mhm.
And you know, I think we got the idea of blending Malbec and Petit Verdot from the winemakers of Mendoza.
Right.
Several told me it was their favorite grape to blend with Malbec, and it brings a lot of sort of intensity, especially to the mid palate. And it's an ancient grape. It was imported by the Romans 2,000 years ago.
Mhm.
But it's been one of our favorite blending grapes. I guess
Oh,
Petit Syrah, Petit
absolutely.
Verdot,
Yeah.
Grenache.
And
Yeah.
Drew Talent grows some of the best. I mean, between Drew and Farmhouse, those Petit Verdots are just incredibly rich. You know, and of
Uh-huh.
course, VJ Reddy, Dr. Reddy also grows this incredible Petit Verdot. And it's interesting because there isn't a grape that Drew grows that I'm not absolutely in love with. And I just really love that part of the hill country. And those granitic soils, the intensity on this fruit is incredible. And, you know, bring that up. And I also think, you know, the other grape that they use down in the Mendoza quite a bit is Bernarda. And I would love to know how that would do in Texas.
Not bad.
But
Well,
there's no doubt that Malbec and Petit Verdot go together very, very well. And that's been the inspiration, that style has been the inspiration for the whole lineage of Raven and now into Ranger Hayes. But it's just something, it's a match made in heaven between Petit Verdot and Malbec. I really like that tannic structure that Petit Verdot offers. I mean, Malbec's got a nice softness to it, and it does have tannins on its own, but Petit Verdot has got some grip. And when you marry it with that Malbec and that beautiful fruit, that velvet fruit that Malbec does, you get an incredibly intense wine. This wine's going to keep on going. It's still young. It's a 2014, and it still appears to be young in the glass.
you know, this wine tastes to me like a wonderful Cahors. Usually 70% Malbec or more in
Yeah.
those wines, but this is like a really refined Cahors to my palate. It's got it's some softness and complexity and pretty.
You know, I hate to say this, but it always makes me feel good to come on to these things and listen to how you guys describe these wines. And then tomorrow when I go back to work, it'll be like, how am I going to make as good a wine as I just made? So thank you for the existential crisis about looming in my life.
You're welcome.
Got this.
Least we can do.
Oh, yeah, I absolutely have loved our Raven. You know, the Raven was the bottle you sent me, Doc, to try when before I did a formal
Is that
interview for
right?
this position.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you sent me the Raven and asked me to match it to a like wine that I could find around where I was living. And it was difficult. I mean, there were some good Malbecs, but there was not a Malbec with the intensity of that depth. And that was probably the deciding factor on, well, if offered this job, I'm definitely saying yes, because of the intensity of that fruit. There were some gems for sure. And Malbec is one of those gems in this state.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Any other comments or questions or concerns about our beautiful Raven? Somebody said, "See, we don't have to ask questions. You're all full of great information without us." But Susan also says that something she learned early on was that when you found a wine a particular vintage that you like, try to buy as much as you can at the time, because it's a very limited quantity. And you're right. And that's going down a whole different rabbit hole of trying to explain to your wife why you can't make the mortgage payment because your wine closet is bursting with great wines. No.
That's a good point.
Wine or going to Vegas? I don't know.
So the Raven, and it's Onc du Calmar, right? I mean,
Onc de Calmar, yes, which I still think is a great name. Yeah,
That only got one vote.
Grown.
That was overruled.
It's still a great story, though.
It really is. So being able to relay that message to our wine club members and the history and the story, it's really beautiful, and to tie it all in, and then into now the Ranger Haze and welcoming. And I always tell, at the end of my spiel, welcoming Jack Hayes back home.
Right.
It's all, you went to California, but you're back home. So.
Well, he became, after being a Texas Ranger and then surveying the property, he claimed that back piece as his own homestead. He never lived there, but that's what he had claimed on. But then he ended up sometime in the 1840s or 50s that he moved to California. Yep. He became mayor of Oakland.
Yeah.
So, which it gives me a chuckle every time I think about that.
So when telling the story, it's always great to say, "Hey, welcome back home, Captain Hayes."
So there's this is such a weird thing, and it's completely not off topic completely, but kind of. So, Jody and I lived in St. Helena for a number of years, and we used to take walks around the town all the time. It's a very small town. It's half the size or a third the size of Fredericksburg. So it's a very, very tiny town. But there's a cemetery in town. It's still being used, but there's an older part of the cemetery. It goes all the way back to Civil War era, the founding of the town. The general who laid the pennies on Lincoln's eyes when he was laying in state is buried in the St. Helena Cemetery.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's a lot of history and a lot of dual history between Texas and California, which is very interesting. But then again, we can raise a glass and say there's a lot of dual history in all 50 states. Okay. Are we all ready to move on to which I think may be the one wine Kaylyn's really waiting for?
I love the Malmsey so much. I'm excited to move on to it.
Absolutely. Well, I have it just for you in the Irish Crystal. So cheers to you and your choice. Oh, I'm glad you picked this wine, Kaylyn. Tell us why, though.
I remember that it's been quite some time since we've gotten into the Malmsey. I think Christmas of last year, maybe, or around that time. I remember I was at my mom's house with it for our virtual, and I love the Malmsey, and we'll have people, and it's very much a polarizing wine. People either love it or they do not prefer it at all, and it's something that I think gets overlooked frequently because I think that people just assume dessert wine is made just thrown together, there's some sugar in it, and it's not well planned, well thought out. It's lacking perhaps depth or nuance or story. And this one I think has all of the things that are necessary to make it enjoyable. So it is obviously very, very sweet. It's very high in alcohol. And I've had mine sitting out for quite some time now to try to let some of the booze blow off. And it's incredible how much almost like bright citrus orange I'm getting. And I'm assuming that's in part due to the Muscat Canelli, maybe some orange blossom, things of that nature. But it just, it smells like pecan pie, and it reminds me of an orange bourbon pecan pie or something along those lines on the palate. And I'm a very big fan of Sauterne style wines, other Madeiras, ports, things of that nature. And I thought that everyone needed to at least sip this and give it a chance,
Right.
And see how incredible it could be with Christmas time desserts and cozied up on the couch in front of a fire. So.
Well, then I'm going to require for this wine, everybody come up with a Christmas time dessert specifically that you would pair for this. But I have to agree with you on there. And I just want to, make mention. So this was a bit of an experiment when we went into this particular vintage. The Viognier we knew did very, very well, especially in a Malmsey style or a Madeira style wine, where you ferment it, shut the fermentation down, fortify it, and then you leave it to the Texas elements, literally outside in the barrels to the Texas elements for several years, which is a great way to make a Madeira. We don't have volcanic heated caves here in Texas, though I have hopes maybe in the next 2-3 million years. This particular wine, so one of our growers, Farmhouse, who does a beautiful job. They had some Muscat that they had taken in. 15 was a brilliant year. They had a lot of extra on that. Well, they froze it, the grapes, they froze into big cubes, and there's an industrial freezer up in Lubbock. And we decided to keep it in the freezer for a couple of months and then bring it in after the bulk of harvest was done, let it slowly thaw out. And then we took the evaporated concentrated juice off of that. So as it thawed, we kept taking more. I kept taking the bricks reading. So we were up at about, when it went to the freezer, it was about 32 bricks, but we're getting off close to 40 bricks. The water was frozen and then all the fruit juice wasn't. So we got this high concentrated sugary concoction out of there. We did the ferment. It took a long time to ferment. We shut it down, fortified it, and then we aged it. And we still have, believe it or not, a few barrels of this aging in the cellar. So we're trying to take a long.
I haven't seen them.
Don't let Dr. Becker know because he'll want to go taste it. So, Bobby, what do you think of this wine, sir?
Oh, definitely creme brulee.
Mm-hmm.
You inhale too deeply, it's definitely going to burn the nose hairs.
Well, there you go. It's a self-grooming wine.
Yes, there we go.
No, exactly.
Somebody just asked, what's the best way to save this wine if you don't finish the bottle? Just put a cork in it. It's already been spoiled. So that's what Madeira is known for. I mean, you really can just put it back in the fridge for several weeks, a month or more. It's not going to ruin. So you're fine. If you want to take a glass or two now and wait a couple weeks, open a bottle at Thanksgiving, finish it off at Christmas. If you're not into heavy dessert wines, it'll keep just fine.
Decanter?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. So,
Doc, your opinion, would you care to opine upon this wine?
Well, I'd like to say, everyone remembers what Mistress Quickly says to doll tear sheets.
Yes, because we're all students of the Bard, sir.
But in faith, you have drunk too much Canary. Canary Islands is where this was made. And that is a marvelous searching wine. It perfumes the blood. Everyone can say, what is this? So anyway, that's what I recommend. I've always loved Mistress Quickly. It was useful in her profession.
So back to the wine.
Oh gosh, it's great. this was processed in a deep freeze somewhere, in
Somewhere
Lubbock.
in the heart of West Texas. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we did this to preserve the grape, but it also it extracts a lot of the grape skin, the phenolics from the skin. On a white wine, that's not necessarily what you want, but on something that we were going to make a dessert wine out of, a Madeira style wine, it's perfect. You get this overripe character to begin with, and you get a lot of these, what eventually age out to be what we call pecan or toasted nut or cooked berry flavors. And I'm not going to let this slide that you put 2 geese next to your 2 ducks, and they're staring at me.
Saw him.
Yes, I saw them.
Well, it's hard to go to New England and not come back with a pair of 18th century geese.
Uh-huh.
Those are andirons from God knows when, way back.
They're awesome. Uh-oh. I have a 17-pound monster at my door meowing.
Uh-oh.
Hallelujah.
Yeah, exactly. Oh. So Madeira, why did you want us to make a Madeira style wine?
Me?
Yes.
Well, I love Madeira, and you've made some beauties from Viognier, and now from this. This is Muscat, isn't it?
Yeah.
And
yes, it is. Yeah.
yeah, it's a great wine. It's made, as we say, breaking all the rules, oxidizing the wine, letting it have a lot of temperature variation. It produces this incredible kind of sweet note that's just remarkable. Wonderful.
Right.
So Thomas Jefferson, right?
Loved it. Yes.
Madeira. Yep.
Yeah. There's a letter from Jefferson to, I guess, Madame at one of the great Sauterne houses, near Ken, asking them to be sure and ship it during the winter, not during the summer where it could heat up crossing the Atlantic. But yeah, he loved it.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So
Okay. So are we at that point where we feel like we want to pair foods?
yes,
And should we start with dessert? Because dessert first, life's too short, or should we go with the savory dishes?
I'm going to want a Grand Marnier souffle with this, and
Can't argue
that'll
with
do
that.
it. And we have some guys that can really cook it.
Yes, we do.
Do
Michael and Sean, they can make a Grand Marnier souffle like you can't believe. Wow.
amazing.
Oh my goodness. Somebody just said, I'm so in with the Irish Christmas pudding, substitute the
Yeah.
Malmsey. Well, that's not a bad idea.
Sounds good.
That does sound really good.
Yeah.
I'll try it. I'll let us know.
And trust me, you never use just 3 tablespoons of whiskey in Irish pudding. That measurement was put in there to make people feel like they were okay.
That's what
You
people
measure
call
with your
big
heart.
sauce.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, Kaylyn, this is your wine. So what dessert? What Christmas dessert?
Okay, so one, I think bread pudding would be fantastic. Obviously, pecan pie a la mode would be really good, but I also just want snickerdoodle cookies with it. So I can't
Snickerdoodle
decide.
cookies, really?
Yes, I have
Okay.
3 really great options.
You do, and I'm kind of going with the snickerdoodles myself.
I think it sounds super good. I've been thinking about this for quite some time, and that's how I got to 3 instead of 1 desserts.
I see. Bobby, what dessert?
Just what comes to mind is baked brie with pear.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of doing something like that. I think that would be amazing with this.
It really would be. I'm not going to argue. I think just the baked brie without the pear would go well with this.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. I'm gonna have to lean towards either a traditional pudding with that Grand Marnier souffle. Just really sounds so good.
It really does.
It does, doesn't it? But I do, every Christmas, we do a thing called toss. It looks like miniature pecan pies. The pastry is made with a little bit of sugar, cream cheese, and a tiny amount of flour. It's mostly cream cheese for the pastry. And then the filling is a little bit of brown sugar, a little bit of vanilla, and toasted pecans. And then it's baked until it's all bubbly and wonderful. So I think it would go very well with this.
I also forgot baklava, and I think that's worth an honorable mention.
Yeah. Oh,
Baklava is definitely worth an honorable mention, but your baklava can be ruined if you don't have the right orange blossom water or rose blossom water.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
It's like, I don't think I've ever taken it that seriously.
Really?
Lots of phyllo dough and butter can make anything all right.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Tried a couple of, sometimes they're too oily.
Sure.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay, guys, what with the other wines, pick one, and it's savory or both. Bobby, we'll start with you. I'm going to give you a moment to think, Kaylyn. Then we're going to hammer Doc for his choices.
Wow. So since we were talking about soups and being like soup time, a Raven and beef bourguignon all the way.
That sounds very good. And by the way, Charles Gage agrees with you, Bobby, on the tart or the pear and brie for the Malmsey.
Nice.
Okay, Kaylyn, what do you think? Savory.
So I'm going to do both since it's my favorite week. I think I want to do with a Chardonnay, like a Thai coconut curry soup. I think that would be really delicious.
Mhm.
And then a vegetable beef stew with the Raven would just be beautiful.
Mhm.
So in honor of soup seasons, I'm sticking with my soups
Perfect.
and stews.
Doc?
A Dover sole with a Chardonnay with a really delicate white wine butter sauce.
Mhm.
And if you could find a grass-fed beef steak from Argentina with the Raven, that would be my pairing.
Okay. Well, I'm going to pair with the Raven a standing rib roast and Yorkshire pudding. Yeah. And with that Chardonnay, I'm going very simple. I'm going Dungeness crab and steamed artichokes, a little bit of butter and garlic.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Okay. Bobby, what do we have online for next week, sir?
Sorry, I had to unmute myself. It sounds like there is a plane flying up.
That's the black helicopters. They're after you.
Well, the NSA, right?
Exactly.
Anyway, so next week we have National and International Zinfandel Day. So we've got that going on next week. So we've got the new 2019 Zinfandel. We've got the 2018 Culinaria, which is about 40% Zinfandel blend.
Mhm.
And then the 2016 Destate, which I had to kind of search around for, a few cases to get that out. But
Right.
yeah, that's Zinfandel Dolcetto blend. So in honor of Zinfandel Day and national and international, that's going this next week.
That sounds
Okay.
lovely. So we have Zins
Excellent.
online for next week.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay. Any other news from the winery, wine club news for you, Bobby?
Getting ready for December coming up, December shipment. So sending out emails this Friday. Be on the lookout for that. Going to have some fun stuff for pickup parties, and then also for wine club sponsors, and then the cruise, how I mentioned earlier, for next year. So that's we got all sorts of fun stuff on deck, pun intended.
Right on.
The way around.
Perfect. Well, everybody, pick up a glass and let's toast to another wonderful week. Doc, any final words, sir?
No, this another week of this struggle, and just thanks to all the people who are in the front lines. And here's a glass of wine to them. Thank you.
Cheers. Absolutely. Thank you all for letting us into your homes and your hearts another week. Good week. Great glass of wine. We'll see you here next week. Cheers.
Cheers.